Well, joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is a man who might have the answer. Senior NFL insider for NFL Network, friend of the program, ladies and gentlemen, Ian Rapoport. Rapshi, what up, dude? Hey, obviously we're discussing, because we're on ESPN, we're discussing Shedeur Sanders falling to the fifth round.
It's true. Not a lot of networks are addressing that, so.
Yeah, nobody else is talking about it.
Agreed.
So he falls, but he's not the only one. There was a lot of big names, I think, late in this draft. Do we think that's because transfer portal, NIL, the way college football currently is this what the future looks like, where a lot of the big names and kind of the older players and almost a plethora of players in the draft?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, the Shedeur thing is like yes, there were some players who fell. There were some players who, D-Butt mentioned Will Johnson. I mean, that's a pretty good example of a guy who is super talented and just based on the way he plays should absolutely have been like a middle first round pick. The knee injury, which has the potential to significantly sort of limit his career, that played a part. Now, it doesn't have to. Miles Jack had a similar thing, and he played 7 years, which is a great career. Everyone would be happy with a 7-year career. But teams didn't feel like they could take the risk until, the second round, and that's why he fell. The Shedeur thing is different. Like, I have a lot of conversations leading up to the draft. I talk to every team. I get a lot of intel. I feel like I prepare myself for every freaking thing that could possibly happen. Like, that is what I do for the month before the draft. I spend the entire time on the phone. And it never crossed my mind that Shedeur Sanders could be a fifth-round pick. It was not in the realm of possibility. So, to me, all-time draft stories, this is one of them.
Yeah, I think so. Fifth round is a crazy drop.
Crazy.
I wonder when the decisions were made by the teams who were looking to draft a quarterback. I wonder if some teams weren't thinking about drafting a quarterback until fourth, fifth round, so they're automatically ruled out as opposed to, because they'll say 32 teams passed on them however many times. It's like, how many teams are actually thinking about taking a quarterback at all in the first 3 rounds? They probably had a plan of differently, but there certainly were teams that took quarterbacks in those rounds that decided not to take Shedeur. When did that come about? In all these anonymous reports we're hearing about the meetings with teams, how much has that been chatted about since the draft ended?
It was chatted about a lot before the draft, before the draft ended, while it was still going on, meetings weren't great.
That was a day before the draft started. Those started coming out, right? Wasn't that kind of?
Yeah, and the reason a lot of that happens is because the same reason why big news gets reported on game day morning or other pregame shows is because that's when sometimes you sort of save your best, most thorough, detailed reporting for right before the event. So Tom Pelissero comes out with the article with 12,000
He was sitting on that for weeks.
Well, but a lot, all those conversations, I had several of those conversations with teams about all right, how was the meeting? Wasn't great. All right, why? And it's well, just didn't come off great. And I'm all right, what does that mean? Probably nothing. It's I spent a lot of time trying to figure. I'm not just talking about Shedeur. This happens with a lot of different prospects and a lot of different things. These guys are picked apart never before or since ever. It's only the draft are these things picked apart to this level, and it's very challenging. It sucks in a lot of ways, but teams are making multi-million-dollar investments, so it's on them to find out everything you can. But all the things that were discussed publicly in Tom's article and other places are all the stuff that are being discussed privately as well. And one thing about Shedeur that I keep coming back to is Dion is awesome, great player, great dude, was a very excellent colleague, worked with him for a long time, and every interaction with him has been great. And honestly, all my interactions with Shedeur, of which there have been several, have been really good.
Me too.
I told you that story when we FaceTime. He spent plenty of time talking to my kids on FaceTime. Seemed like an awesome guy. The advice he got, I don't think was good.
Yeah, I wonder if he thought it was confidence he was showing You know, that's why I wish that report would have came out a
Maybe.
little earlier. You know, so then maybe we can correct course a little bit, and maybe there's a chance to call and say, "Hey, I did not mean to come across that way." But instead, we're sitting on stories. We're sitting on stories.
Keep doing that.
I didn't know this is what you journalists do. It's unbelievable. So maybe this is a great learning lesson too for this entire process. And once again, in building, anything can happen as long as you're in there. Not as easy as a fifth rounder as it is a first rounder, but once you're in the building, you have a chance. D-Bud has a question for you, Rap.
Yeah, usually we get a lot of stories. I know you guys probably sit on these stories, but Monday after the draft, any trades that almost happened, and especially in the first round that didn't necessarily go through?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of them we talked about, the Jahad Campbell trade to the Eagles while the Chargers were on the clock. You guys heard this story, right? I assume.
No,
I didn't hear this one.
Okay, so
Right,
you guys were busy during the draft. That's right. So
thank you.
the Eagles, I didn't watch. I was also busy, but I hear great things about it. Anyway, especially
Thank you.
from
It was.
McCarthy,
I
it
think,
seems like,
to be clear, I think this was our best one. Now, didn't
Really?
have all the shenanigans, but I think as a draft show, I think it was a good draft show. I think we had. I think we did a good draft show.
I think so too.
Coach McCarthy was awesome. Schrags is the draft guy.
Thank you, Rap.
Crushed.
Like he is actually the draft
He's
guy.
great.
So I watched it back. I thought it was good. Boys in the back handled it, crushed it, lower thirds.
You watch it back, like film study?
Yeah, I watched.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think this is.
Oh, I mean, I do the same with my stuff. Obviously, I was just wondering.
Sure, Ian.
See, that's the thing. You work for, like, there's a difference in the entirety of it all and how we view things. But nonetheless,
What was the question? Oh, yes, right,
Schrags.
Jahad Campbell.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Jahad Campbell. So, I'm almost positive that the deal is done between the Eagles and the Chargers at 22 to get Jahad Campbell, which was the guy. I knew there was someone the Eagles were targeting that they would move up for. I wasn't 100% sure. I wondered if it was going to be James Pierce, and I don't think it was. I couldn't figure out who it was, honestly. And then I hear Jahad Campbell's going to go to the Eagles, and then he thinks it's done, and I think is about to come out, and they had to be like, no, there's no trade. The Chargers just decided to pick, and that was Amari and Hampton, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then the trade was off, and I'm like, so at that point, all right, well, that trade didn't happen. Then I hear the Eagles are still calling, so I'm tweeting and saying on TV, the Eagles are still calling up, trying to trade, and they ended up trading only one spot to take the guy they would have taken 9 picks earlier, so they ended up saving draft picks, and he ended up getting less money, which sucks. But worked out well for the Eagles to get the same guy that they wanted.
They thought the Chiefs were going to take him or whatever?
I think it was they thought someone else was going to trade into that spot to take him.
Got it.
You know what I
we
mean?
can't wait another second.
Gotta get him.
We gotta get. We can't.
Gotta get.
We've come this far.
And
We've waited this
the other
long.
one-
Yeah, okay.
Right. The other one was I'd heard that the 49ers called up a couple spots to hold on. So that's not the full draft picks. Actually, I think the 49ers called up at 7 and 8. And I assume that was to try to get a tackle, but it also might have been to try to get Mikael Williams, who they ended up getting.
Okay. Yeah, because it felt like a lot of people just made good decisions as the draft continued to happen, you know? And we talked to John Schneider. He said the phones weren't as active as he had thought they were going to be. And then we heard reports that the phones were super active at different times. Was it just a couple teams that were active, or was it a lot of people?
Yeah. Well, so it's always really interesting. So before the draft, I'm starting to hear that a couple teams are really, really active of trying to trade up. And so the teams I heard the Texans were, and I heard the Broncos were. And no one's ever going to tell you who they're trying to trade up for, because obviously they don't want someone else taking them. So the only thing I can tell is when the calls stop, right? If you're trying to trade up for someone and then all of a sudden the calls stop, it's all right, well, you were probably trying to trade up for that guy. The Bears take Colston Loveland at 10, and a bunch of calls stopped. And I was like, wow. He was maybe the guy, and I don't know specifically those teams are trying to trade up for him, because I think there were some others Booker, people
Loveland was the bell of the ball.
Okay.
But I didn't know this. We all thought Tyler Warren was the dude, but it seems like
He is.
Loveland was kind of
Yeah.
He is.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, he
But
is.
you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. Yes, I completely understand with what you're saying about Loveland. And we obviously chit-chatted about him being the first tight end off the board. And then you're over here saying, yeah, I have everybody's phones tapped. They were very active. And then as soon as this guy's no longer available, everybody stops. So that means product that was wanting to be acquired is no longer able to be acquired, seemingly. Congrats to Loveland. What a dog.
Wow.
Hey, you're the belle of the ball, bub. You were the belle of the ball. Not as much as Cam Ward, who was a zero-star high school recruit, all the way to a number
Good
one
story.
overall pick. Unbelievable story. And then Travis Hunter, obviously, going to change Jacksonville. Do we have old Gladstone's quote about Travis Hunter and why the pick was made? Go ahead.
Yeah, as we sit here, Travis Hunter is a Jacksonville Jaguar, and really what comes to mind for me, right? Thinking about the sport of football and really the power of the game itself, right? Its capacity to ignite belief, right? Belief in ourselves, belief in others, right? Belief in achieving what many may deem impossible.
Sure. Hell yeah.
Travis Hunter, he embodies belief.
Okay.
Right? He's a rare person. He's a rare player. But he's also a reminder that the boundaries of the game of football were built to be challenged.
Oh.
And so the decision to select him was actually a statement for how we plan to move, who we are, and we want him to be nothing more than him. Because when he is, he elevates the space around him.
Wow.
From the football field
damn space.
to the city to the game of football itself. Travis Hunter is who we've been hunting up.
Okay,
Couldn't
Jimmy.
be more jacked to be sitting right here beside him and introduce you all to the man of the hour.
What a promo. What a promo from old Gladstone there. I'll tell you
I thought we were
what.
supposed to.
I'll tell you what, it feels like it was pretty obvious they were going to make that move all along.
Yeah.
Gladstone didn't think of that in just one night.
No.
That promo right there has been a couple monther.
hold on,
That's
hold
been a
on,
couple
hold on.
monther there. The
You
way
think he was preparing the speech?
Yes, I think he was preparing a speech for a couple months,
In the mirror.
personally, because he said the way he lifts his space, the whole space. He was talking about them selling out Colorado, lifted that entire thing. Ratings, every game that he was a part of was huge. Like, everything he was saying was a promo cut to say, like, this is who this guy actually is, not like what I'm just making up. I think he was obsessed with getting Travis. It sounds like this was the only decision for this guy to make. I'm new here. This place needs a spark. We got the one. This guy plays both ways. He's beloved by everybody. I'm going to go make a move to go get him. And Liam Cohen said, get him down here to Duval. And we'll change the entire tone. They don't have a stadium in 2 years, but they have a team that has been trying and trying. Khan has been trying down there.
Oh, yeah.
Hasn't he? Don't you think
Gotta
so?
respect.
Forever.
Khan has been trying. He wanted to build an entire city for the Jacksonville Jaguars
Yeah.
within the city of Jacksonville.
Hired Urban.
So now they got a young guy and a young coach that make a big time play. Cleveland Browns, I assume a lot of people wanted to get to 2, or how many people do you think were trying to get up there to potentially snag Travis Hunter?
As far as I could tell, well, I think there was another team made kind of an initial call, but as far as I can tell, the Jaguars were the only team that made this like real significant concerted effort to try to get to 2. This was a really fascinating one. Apparently, and one of the GMs said this, they've been talking for 2 weeks. I found out about this potentially on, I think it was either Tuesday or Wednesday, and I was told the Jaguars are going to do something bold. Don't be surprised if it's offense, but they're going to do something bold. And so I'm like, bold. All right, so that means maybe Genty or maybe Tetero and McMillan. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And then I'm starting to hear that teams are calling up to 2 and 3, and I'm like, the only reason with all due respect to Abdul Carter, who is awesome, like, Hunter would be the guy you'd probably trade up for, I think. And, like, most people thought there was 2 super elite players in the draft. It was Carter and it was Hunter. So I'm like, if the Jaguars are going to be bold, if they're going to do something on offense, if someone's calling up to 2, it's got to be the Jaguars. And I basically spent the next day trying to figure out, which I think by like Thursday morning, it was pretty clear, like, Jaguars are going to trade up. And it was, it's a fun, fascinating trade. I can't wait to look back at it. But I've never had more people on both sides say, I can't believe they did this. This is crazy. Why would you? And then but it's the opposite. So like when people think both sides are crazy, maybe that's a good move for everyone, you know?
Hey, if both sides are happy, that's a good deal. And the reason why the Jacksonville Jaguars are happy is because they think they got a first-round corner and they got a first-round wide receiver. So will we give up another first-rounder? Sure. We're just getting a corner who's the number one corner on our board, or instead of the number one wide receiver we have on our board. I think that's probably how they're viewing it. And you heard they're going to be bold. Well, fortune favors the bold.
That's right.
And if you listen to Jimmy Gladstone,
Wow. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, he needs to be speaking to the team.
Yeah,
They need to have GM speaking to the team. You all have been placed here for a reason. Each week, I think he needs to be given one of those.
Sweet. Hell of an intro, hell of a promo. Not everybody up here loved it, just based on, I can tell, based on looking at everybody as they were speaking.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't.
What?
I need more details on that.
I didn't.
Why didn't you like what Jimmy
I still
Gladstone had to say?
respect. Yeah, I mean, we're playing football. We're not trying to split the atom. I understand.
They're running a business down
No,
there.
I know.
They're selling hope down there.
I know, I get it.
Optimism down there. Belief, they say.
I get it. I get all of it. And I'm going to reserve judgment until we see what happens on the field. But just calm down, Jimbo. Just calm down, okay? I get it. It's a big pick. It is. That's a big pick. That was a little much. It was a little much.
You saw, I didn't see his reaction.
I saw it. We may have spoken about it a little before the show, too, but I saw it once he saw it again. But I loved it, and I loved the move from Jacksonville. You already paid Trevor Lawrence. There are still question marks around Trevor Lawrence. Everybody kind of looks at that deal right now when their quarterback is up to be paid. So, Gladstone and Liam, you put the pieces around him for him to be successful. So I absolutely love the move from Jacksonville, keeping Travis Hunter, Florida boy in Florida, obviously a dynamic player on both sides of the ball. Still interested to see how those snaps are split, but Travis Hunter is no denying he is an absolute unicorn on the football field.
I love the thought of Travis Hunter going down there, though, starting on offense and starting on defense, playing full games, playing a full season, and just this becomes a normal.
That'd be awesome.
Because, Travis Hunter plays the whole game in the NFL, the whole season. If he's able to accomplish this, this should be a sports science spectacle of some sort of how his body is able to do something that nobody's body's ever been able to accomplish. I mean, people are getting limping to the finish line, and that's his 17 games. Roger Goodell's already got an 18-game schedule already. 18-2. And I think I speak for the fans here. If you guys want to listen, we'd much rather a regular season game than a preseason game, right? Yeah, see? So I think 18-2 is the right move. So if he's able to do that, plus playoffs, plus a Super Bowl, that would be unbelievable for the human. Just humans as a whole.
These highlights are ridiculous.
Yeah,
they really are.
We've seen them 100 times, and every time they're still as special. And you talk about, Cam Ward's journey, like his journey was wild too, to be one of the top rated players in the country coming out of high school, following Coach Prime to Jackson State, talking about changing the space around you. He completely changed Jackson State, and I think kind of FCS and HBCU football, the eyes he brought to that program, and then going to Colorado, doing the same thing, winning the Heisman in Colorado, and then, going number 2 overall in the NFL draft, and then now, the movie is obviously still being written, but if he can actually be a full-time two-way player in the NFL, and doesn't sound like Jimmy Gladstone is going to hold him back from chasing that dream.
No,
so it's going to be exciting to watch. Yeah,
I love
it.
And remember, Tony Khan, wrestling promoter.
Sure.
We got a guy to go,
Chief strategist.
We got a guy that plays both sides. Mm-hmm. We're the only ones that have a guy that plays the whole game. We can sell tickets to that.
That's probably Tony that put.
There's a chance. Hey, Jimmy Gladstone. Yeah. This is 1-on-1, huh? You remember? Do you know Andre the Giant? Do you remember Andre? 1-on-1. We used to be able to tour him. They toured him around. He went everywhere, beating everybody, every town. Then there was the Hulkster brother.
Why?
Well, actually, sorry, Bruno Sammartino. I apologize. Pittsburgh legend. Shouldn't have done that. But if we got if we got a guy and they are championing him, mean, and Liam Cohen's going to be able to drop some shit for him to get open.
Yes, sir.
Let's assume Travis is going to have some highlights each week.
Yep. Yeah.
And then on defense, is he going to be able to play?
Both ways?
Defense. If he was full-time defense, he'd be able to play?
Against the Colts?
Yes.
Against any team.
Absolutely. And on offense, you got Brian Thomas Jr. on the other side of him, who's a bona fide number one, probably, potential superstar in the league. And then on defense, I think absolutely he can play. And you watching those highlights, you can tell that he's a smart player. That's the other thing that's very impressive.
So he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah. Ball skills.
But does he have the time to do it?
What do you mean?
You know
that's
what I mean?
That's a good question. It's a great question.
Like needing time to do it,
I think if he's able to do defense full-time, he'll be able to do offense full-time. Because Cohen will just draw up shit for him.
Yeah.
You know, like that is, I don't want to say offense is as easy as that, but for him, could be. Like if you're trying to simplify this as much as
maybe,
possible to make things happen, it's like he's an offensive guru, right? Isn't he?
It's just week to week, the game plan and the installs and things change so much. So just being on the same, like we've had, Aaron on with even like the signals, certain signals and situations. 2 minute when things are moving so fast, you just have to get those reps and that continuity. Defense is the same thing. I know a lot of people just think, it's only a certain amount of calls, which there is a more limited playbook on defense, but the adjustments you have to make on defense, been on the same page. But everything we've seen for Travis Hunter on every level has shown that he can handle it, and he seems like, he's all football. He goes fishing and he does some other things, but he seems like he is completely enamored with football and learning the game and playing at a high level.
Can't wait to watch him, see if he does in the AFC South. Okay, good luck. Tyler Warren's coming to town. Tyler Warren's coming to town. Same with JTT.
JTT.
You ever see him? He's a good football player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got a bunch of dogs here in Indianapolis. You just made a noise. Did something happen?
No, I was going to say something.
Okay.
So something happened in my brain where it kind of triggered. You mentioned some of the negative meeting stuff with Shedeur.
Okay.
Two things
We're
about
way back.
some of the other prospects. Right. Mike takes my brain a while.
I respect it. it.
The Travis Hunter feedback from his meetings and interaction could not have been more A+. Like people loved him, just character-wise. Like obviously the player is great and the stamina. That's like the thing that people were like, "Can you believe this?" But interactions with him, I think, were from the people I spoke with, just not just teams, but like basically everyone he interacted with, like A+ and awesome. The other thing was you guys talked about Cam Ward, who is like, because of the Shedeur thing, I think we all as like an NFL world haven't probably talked about Cam Ward enough because we've known he was going number one for a while. We interviewed Mario Cristobal, his coach of Miami, during draft week on the Insiders. Finished the interview, and you're like, all right, hey, thanks for coming, appreciate it. He was like, guys, like, the interview's over, cameras are off, but like we could still see him. Guys, listen, he is a dog. He's like, Cam is just wanted us to know, just not for the public, just for our brains, that this guy is a dog. He's like, he will change that franchise. He is the best, and I guarantee you he will be successful. And I was like, that is like, okay. And he gave a bunch of examples why, like just the time he puts in and all that, but like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was,
I love hearing that about people because that's kind of what we promote on the show, basically. Like, you need dogs.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That's literally all you're trying to do is find somebody that loves ball and is a dog. That video that's circulating of him and Shedeur talking about making a song and him saying American football. It's a football player. And I think his dad, and you never know what's real and what isn't real. Calvin, is his dad Calvin Ward? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's his dad. Does he have an X account?
He does.
Okay, so he tweeted I think Schrager said something about all this guy wants to do is play football. And Calvin A. Ward, maybe? Is that the Twitter account?
I believe that is him, yes.
So I
believe that is him.
That tweeted or threaded underneath that and said, that's it. That's all he wants to do. All he's ever wanted to do. Like his dad was like that. He is a football guy through and through. Yeah. And it feels like not only has that served him well and probably had to make him be a gritty, 0-star recruit. Think about that.
Boy.
We talk about Bone.
The crazy
story.
Bone.
Yeah, exactly.
We talk about Bone here. Bone was washing his own pads down in D3. Wins a national championship at a left tackle. That big Bone. That guy loves ball.
He does.
That guy loves ball. D1 football is at moments and times incredibly hard and difficult.
There you go.
That's 100% correct. That's all he wants to do. He's always been that way. Yeah. So it's Calvin A. Ward too. Yeah. Hell yeah. Still got it.
Calvin Award.
Yeah, bingo. I think that's potentially how I remembered it because they were awarded this guy. I think they got a guy down in Tennessee. Oh, yeah. I think they do. Feels like all indicate from what we believe in the way we talk. If the guy has enough talent and he's a dog, he's going to be good. That's legitimately how I feel. Now, there are some teams that maybe haven't figured out their quarterback situation or have a question mark at the quarterback situation. Connor has a question for you, Ian.
Yeah, Rap Sheet. Kirk Cousins not getting traded over the draft weekend. Is he just going to be the backup in Atlanta, maybe get used if Penix gets hurt? And then how come they traded a first-rounder to get back into the first? That was kind of a fleece, if you will.
2 packs of cigs.
Yeah, at least.
Yep.
Good weekend.
Draft.
people still smoke cigarettes?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're hearing it right now.
That's fair. So the Kirk Cousins thing, I was, kind of keeping track of and trying to figure like, all right, if he leaves Atlanta, where might he go? And I think if your good friend Aaron Rodgers does not go to Pittsburgh, I think that would be a possibility. But it feels to me like the other possibilities kind of don't exist. Like people talked about the Vikings. Okay, well, they traded for Sam Howell. Okay. People talked about maybe the Browns. Okay, well, I don't know if you guys know this, but they drafted a second quarterback in Shedeur Sanders. So I don't think he's going there, and I don't think he's going anywhere. And Dylan Gabriel.
Jeez.
This guy.
Journalism, just a tiny bit, please.
Wow.
Third round pick.
Third round draft pick. Dylan Gabriel.
It's true. I actually came on the broadcast and was like, you guys are not going to believe this, but Dylan Gabriel is going to be drafted before Shedeur Sanders. And everybody made fun of me, and it happened. So I don't think Cleveland's a spot for him anymore. And so, the more this goes, I kind of think he's going to be the Falcons' backup, which, there's no source on that because the Falcons have told us this from the beginning. It's just we kind of, just didn't believe them, it feels like. But I think, he's got family in Atlanta. I believe his kids have grandparents in Atlanta. I think it's his wife's family, but I'm not sure. But anyway, he's got family in Atlanta. I'm not sure. He's got no trade clause. I'm not sure he's gonna go anywhere unless something crazy happens where he would be able to go be the starter. What was the other thing you asked?
The trade.
Yeah, the
get back into the first with the Rams.
Pierce.
So I was pretty sure at 15, the Falcons were going to take James Pierce. They had done a ton of research. They had a visit with him and his mom the day before the draft because there was some character concerns on Pierce. So they spent so much time and hours getting to know everyone he knows, meeting his family, getting to know him and understand him. And I thought they were going to take him to 15 because that is how they viewed him. And then they took Jalen Walker at 15, I think because you just couldn't pass up the talent. And then immediately I hear Falcons are trying to get back in. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. And so...
Hey, they are decisive down there.
They are.
Oh, yeah.
Aren't they? They are decisive.
Absolutely.
They try.
They're not afraid.
They will make decisions. They will go. You want to?
They will.
Yeah.
They will make decisions.
The pass rush sucked last year.
Yeah, I
All
understand.
time bad.
Yeah.
I hope it works out for the Falcons. Just because they do things so much different than literally everybody.
The Penix pick looks so good now, though.
Yeah, true.
Who would
Agreed.
they have taken this year?
That's what I'm saying. Everybody killed him the night they drafted Penix. Everybody, us included. I mean, it was a surprise. O's the Mentalist somehow had it predicted on his little envelope thing, which makes no sense. But it was a surprise, and we all kind of, yeah, Rap just did it. Yeah, O's got good brain.
Still bringing it.
But they draft Penix, and everybody's down on him. And then, you have to start thinking now, well, why did they do that? And they're like, well, we think injuries potentially happen in the NFL, and we liked him a lot. And then he starts playing. Now he's going to be their starter. And it's if it works out for him, they're probably going to stick their chests out and say, you don't know anything. Nobody thought we were right here. They've made a lot of decisions like that. Hey, we're only interviewing defensive players at the Combine. Okay. All right. Maybe get some information on the other guys. They're going to be maybe playing against you or something. Nope, don't need it. Only doing this. This is what we're focused on right now. It's I love the way they're going about it, and I hope it works legitimately. NFC South, I hope it works, and I hope Penix is good because he was so fun at Washington. Yeah, and he was so fun in Indiana. It was he is a guy that
he was good last year.
I think the NFL, I think so too.
Yeah, to get thrown in that spot as a rookie, I think he did well. And it'll be smart to keep Kirk Cousins the backup, because Penix obviously has some injury history as well. So if you can keep a guy
I would assume Kirk isn't wanting that.
No, he would want it. What's he making next year to be a backup?
28.
Is he the type to force his way out?
I don't know. He put that little brain thing on we saw.
I think he would have done. I think he would have done it already.
Where the spot? Where would he force his way to at this point?
He ain't going to Pittsburgh. We got our guy.
Who's that?
Bill Howard.
Here we go. Howard. Here we go. Will Howard's a Steeler now.
Yeah. Here we go.
He was being comped to Ben Roethlisberger.
I was at least.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's what Tony.
Who made that comp?
Tony.
I did.
He did that weeks ago.
Got an AP vote.
On the island by yourself.
With all due respect to Seven.
Okay.
Yeah, because 7 has the nicest house we've ever seen.
Yeah, and the nicest Nicest arm I've ever seen.
What else?
Hall of Fame.
Nicest what?
He's
Arm.
he was a great quarterback in Pittsburgh. They loved his ass.
Yeah.
How about when he came out on that stage, Big Night Out? That place went crazy for him.
Yeah.
He's awesome too. And there were some things he did while he was playing that make him an incredible podcaster right now. Like he's a very good podcaster. While he was playing, he was a great talker, like a great talker. But sometimes he would say things that people would take and run with and say, "This
all
guy."
the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he was a good talker, because he was like just.
And I don't know if you know this, Pat, but when you're a player and you sometimes say things that are like way too honest and controversial, teams don't always like that.
Yeah. Teams, media obviously blow it out. I mean, it becomes a big deal, especially in Pittsburgh, especially in Pittsburgh. So, like, that quality that he had then that maybe wasn't best for that's it, great for now. Like, he's a good podcaster.
He is.
He's a good talker.
Yeah.
And he is beloved over there. And if Will Howard has that career in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, what a time to be alive.
Hell yeah.
Will Howard, we saw him in -20.
Yeah, we did.
Is he's QB1 right now? Aaron Rodgers is no longer QB1 in Pittsburgh Steelers fans' eyes?
If I had to take a guess today on April 28th, I would assume Mace Dog still starts the season if Aaron does
Mace
not
Dog.
come. But Will's going to be lurking. He's going to be right there.
Yeah, Rap Sheet, though, I believe it was you who said on the draft coverage that one of the Rooneys was doing like some sort of media podcast or something.
Yeah.
And he basically intimated like, hey, we think the Rodgers thing is going to get done. Is there any update there? Because you just kind of alluded to like, hey, if Rodgers doesn't go to Pittsburgh, like from everything we've heard through the draft weekend, it sounds like that is closer to being a done deal than it was a couple weeks ago. Am I wrong in reading that, or isn't that kind of what you said on night two?
No, I sort of took it the same. Meaning you're not wrong. Like it's from what Art Rooney sounded like. He was like, I think we're getting closer to a decision. We are confident that Rodgers is coming. I believe was the way he phrased it. So they think Rodgers is coming. I think Rodgers is going to be a member of the Steelers. You guys think everyone in the world thinks it except
Whoa.
Not you guys.
I don't know.
We're attached to nothing.
You guys, I don't know.
Not me.
His own decision.
Open it.
I'm open to everything. Attached
I mean-
to
That's nothing.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the exact. No, the only
Journalism.
time I've ever thought that maybe he might not be coming was on your show when you were like, you were sort of like, well, obviously you're going to play, and he was like, hey, retirement's a possibility, and I was like, okay, but
got that new
that's
dog,
like-
Apollo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got to go. Hard out coming.
Oh.
So many things to talk about, such little time. Hopefully we'll see you again this week. You did great on the draft coverage, brother.
Appreciate you. It was wild too. You guys did great too. I
Thank you.
assume,
You didn't see it. Yeah, you're the best. Ladies and gentlemen, Rap Sheet. Thanks.
Rap Sheet.